And welcome back to another episode of Dogs on the Couch, where everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It does not matter if you played the game, you were watching. So you're allowed to have an opinion as well. First and foremost, please like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe. It's free of charge, does not cost you a thing. Not only that, helps grow the channel as well as push videos like this into the algorithm so that like-minded people may have a chance to view them as well. We set our first goal here at Dogs on the Couch. We would like to reach 100 subscribers, and you can help us do that personally by simply pressing the subscribe button and becoming family, joining the conversation. With that being said, let's get into it, man. This is one that I try to steer away from in most cases and scenarios because it tends to draw up so much controversy. And I really like to stick with just the sports aspect, honestly. It just so happens in this particular situation with this particular um, set of sports, it seems like you can't just stick with the sports. What I'm talking about is the ABBL, or excuse me, the WNBA. I call it the ABBL because it is officially the anything but basketball league. I say that again. It is the ABBL. That's what they should change the name of it to, the ABBL, because it's the anything but basketball league. That's what it is. It's the anything but basketball league because it seems like everything makes the headlines besides this phenomenal basketball that you tell me that these women are playing in these games. Respectfully, I do watch quite a few WNBA games too as well. So a lot of times when I'm done work or coaching, I'm coaching football right now. That's the reason why so much of a distance in between videos that I make. My kids right now is the priority, man. Trying to get them to win these football games, man. But I do get a chance to watch the WNBA games. A lot of times, they the only active sports games that's on by the time I make it back home. Maybe the Sparks is playing somebody or the Aces. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I get to catch those games. So I do watch myself. So because I love sports, like watch anything sports related. Like you see, I got paraphernalia from all over. Like I don't care what level it could be. Like I say, I watch UFL games, G League games. Like I can care less. It could be some sixth graders playing basketball. Like I want to watch that too. Let me watch that too. And I could be like, oh, number 10 over there, he cooking right now in the sixth grade. Look at him going. So I just love sports. So I do be watching. But um, before we get to the super over the top thing that happened here recently, this was kind of like the first alarming thing that I had noticed about the WNBA because I heard, all right, the team coming to Cleveland. All right, great, man. Yeah, can't wait. We getting the team in Cleveland. So now, you know what I'm saying? That's another, I can go to the game. You know what I'm saying? That's another game. I can get me some tickets and go down there and give me some, you know what I'm saying? Give me some paraphernalia and all that stuff and support it and put it up here. And then no sooner than I was like, all right, yeah, I can't wait. WNBA. Let me look up the tickets. No sooner than that, the executive, I believe is who she is, of the Cleveland Sirens, Allison Howard, I believe is her name. And I'm not doing no slander. I want that to be known on YouTube. Nothing that I'm saying in here is about to be any slander. I'm just kind of pointing out factual stuff. I'm just saying the truth. I understand that a lot of times you can't really say the truth nowadays without being viewed as hate, but I'm just speaking the truth. So when I'm getting excited about the WNBA and getting ready to be looking to buy me some tickets, this is what I hear the executive of the Sirens, Miss Allison Howard, I believe is her name. This is the stuff I hear her saying about the WNBA and the Cleveland Sirens team that's getting ready to come. This is what I hear her saying.
We don't want to be the Lady Cavaliers and we don't want to be wine and gold. We really need to be very separate, very distinctive. We love our Cavaliers, and they are such an amazing part of this organization. But
okay, wait a minute. That's contradictory off the bat. You said you love the Cavaliers and they're such a amazing part of the organization and all this other stuff, but you don't want nothing to do with them though. Like you don't want absolutely anything to do with them though. But mind you, the entire WNBA is subsidized by the NBA. So whether you don't want anything to do with them or not, technically you have to have something to do with them. Because without them, you wouldn't exist. That doesn't make any sense. And then I want to be completely different. Well, respectfully, the Lady Cavaliers would be completely different from the Cavaliers because they're the Lady Cavaliers. But not only that, I don't think anybody was asking for them to be named the Lady Cavaliers. As a matter of fact, when they had a team here the first go around, they were called the Cleveland Rockers. They were not called the Lady Cavaliers. They were called the Cleveland Rockers. So if anything, I would think I was wondering like why they can't be the Rockers. I don't understand that. Why they can't just go back to being the Cleveland Rockers. That's what they was. Why they can't just be the Cleveland Rockers. Why not? The same way that the NBA is supposed to be bringing a team back to Seattle, make them the Supersonics. Why try to name them something else? Bring them back as the Seattle Supersonics. Okay? When the Browns left here and went to Baltimore and became the Ravens, when they brought the next team back to Cleveland, they just called them the Cleveland Browns. They didn't call them the Cleveland Krugers, the Cleveland Lions. Like, they didn't do none of that. Excuse me, that name's already taken. The Cleveland Alligators or the Cleveland Cows. They didn't do that. They just called them the Cleveland Browns again, man. So why couldn't they be the Rockers? Why couldn't they just be that? Nobody, I don't think, was clamoring for, they have to be the Lady Cavaliers. So, like, you was going out your way for some stuff that you didn't even have to go out your way for to begin with. Let's let her keep talking.
This team can exist very much on the independent side of the Cavaliers. And that's also what we are seeing right now. The demographic is totally different. The demographic that will come to Rocket Arena in 2028 for the Sirens games is going to be very different than the ones that come to the Cavaliers. They eat different food. They drink different drinks. They get here earlier. They purchase merchandise differently, and they come from all over the state and even outside.
Okay, so that's kind of the end of that clip right there, but that alarms me. That really alarms me. There's a different in 2028. So let me find out you got a crystal ball, Allison Howard. You got a crystal ball where you can look 2 years into the future and tell me what specific demographic is finna be coming to the WNBA games. Not only that, if you are saying that it's a specific demographic that's coming to your game, well, what demographic is that? Because I thought the WNBA was all about inclusivity. So if you being inclusive to everyone and everybody, then why are you saying that it's only a certain demographic that you expect to be coming to your games? Not only that, you went as far as to say they eat different foods. What that's supposed to mean? Y'all got people coming to the games that eat green slime? Because last I checked, when you say people eat different foods, it's like, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I don't get it. Is that insinuating that, only Italian people eat pasta? Only black people eat fried chicken? Only Chinese people eat Chinese food? I'm black. I eat Chinese food. I eat Italian food. I eat Greek food. I eat any food that tastes good. Any food that tastes good, I eat it. So when you saying they eat different foods, well, what foods have come out that's just so different now that only one demographic of people eat that food? I've never heard of that before, where it's only one demographic of people eat this specific food. It's good, but it's only good to a certain demographic of people. She said they drink different drinks. Let me find out that Pepsi, Coke, Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper, High C. Last I checked, when you go to every arena, them the ones that they got that's there on tap. Now they are gonna have certain other little drinks that's off to the side and different little stuff like that you can request nowadays, different little stuff like that, just like they have certain vegetarian spots that might be in, in the arena or whatever that you can buy some food from if you vegetarian and different stuff like that. But for the most part, this stuff comes standard in the arena. It's already built in there. Like the little machine that dispenses the drinks, it's already built in there. And it's got the stuff that everybody drink. Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Hi-C, Sprite, Sierra Mist. It's got that already on there. Let me find out y'all uprooting them out of all of the arenas to put in a new one that's got all these special new drinks that nobody else knew about and nobody else was drinking before the Sirens game in 2028. They eat different foods and they drink different drinks. I've never heard of that before. I don't show me the new drink, you know what I'm saying? Because if they the only ones that's drinking it, my thing is if it's that good, let me take a sip. Let me try it and see if I like it. Because then now I might start drinking it too. You never know. She even said they purchase merchandise differently. What does that mean? Usually when you go to purchase merchandise, there's two ways to do it, cash or card. That's usually what they ask. And then most arenas that you go to, sometimes they done eliminated the cash. You can't even buy it with cash. You got to have a card. So what way are they purchasing merchandise differently? Do y'all got monopoly money that you use or something? Do y'all accept food stamps at the y'all gonna accept food stamps at the Siren games or something? How are we purchasing merchandise differently? Can I get stuff on credit? Am I allowed to borrow and bring it back and say, well, look here, here go an IOU, and I'm gonna bring back the money for this Cleveland Siren shirt? Is that how they gonna be purchasing merchandise differently? Last I checked, two ways that you could purchase something is cash or card. That's how you could purchase stuff. Cash or card, whether you're swiping, whether you're tapping, whether you pull it up on your phone and tap it, whether you cash app it. It's cash or card. That's how you purchase merchandise. So what do you mean by that? And so when I'm hearing this stuff, I'm like, well, to me, it sounds like y'all just don't want me at the Cleveland Sirens game. It's kind of what it sounds like to me. Because what you're promoting is if I go there, none of the stuff that I'm going to be, Pepsi ain't going to be a drink. Y'all not selling popcorn. Y'all, the only thing to eat there is green slime because that's what the demographic that goes to those games, that's what they eat. So it sounds like you pitching to me because I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. Well, I was before we kept I've been saying Kenny Atkinson, before we kept him, and then Donovan Mitchell got the time how he won at life and all that other crap. So I'm on a small hiatus. But I'm still gonna be watching. But again, you telling me because because I've supported the Cavs that I can't be included in supporting the Cleveland Sirens. Well, why would you want to turn away anybody that could be a potential fan by telling them stuff like, well, yeah, the stuff you want to eat, it ain't gonna be here. The stuff you want to drink, it ain't gonna be here. Imagine a male league like the NFL. Imagine them telling women, hey, yeah, don't come because it ain't going, we not going to make a pink shirt for you. So don't come. How would that grow the league? How would that improve the league? It wouldn't. How would that help the league be more profitable? It wouldn't. So again, the WNBA, Cleveland Sirens, that's where I'm at now. Then I'm going to transition to y'all, you turning me off to even coming to the game, and I wanted to come. But it seems like you telling me it ain't a good idea for me to come because y'all not going to accept me there. Only way you going to accept me there is if I got to bow and kiss your butt. And that's the only way I'm going to be accepted. You know what I'm saying? And if I come, I got to shut up and be quiet and can't voice my opinion and I can't do nothing, can't say nothing, and I can only eat what y'all tell me I can eat. I can only drink what you tell me that I can drink, and I got to find some monopoly money so I could be able to purchase merchandise. That's what that sounded like you told me. That's a crazy layout for a team. And come find out you could predict the future. you was able to look into a crystal ball and you saw all of this stuff somehow. It's mind blowing to me. So that's for starters. New team, new launch. You would think that you would be just, trying to get as many people in the stands as you possibly can. Why would you automatically be trying to turn people away? You turning people away already, and the team ain't even here yet, and you turning people away. It's like you telling people don't come because we don't want your kind. It's kind of what it sounds like. Now to take that and to transition to the thing that is taking over with Ines Kanter sitting courtside at the Indiana Fever versus the Chicago Sky game. And then, I'm pretty sure everybody done seen the clip and everything. So don't need me to play it here. If you didn't see the clip, please just take a sec, go look it up, then come back. But this situation is mind blowing to me. And the fact that there's just so many different viewpoints of it that steer away from what the main point is absolutely insane. The only point that Ines Kanter or Royce White or whatever, the only point that they've tried to make from the very jump of this is just simply they want to help protect women's sports, which means, like a lot of men who have daughters also think like this. I'm a guy who I got a niece that plays, competitive sports, volleyball. She's actually up on my wall over here too, with a piece of a volleyball court where she won a championship. But me being an uncle and having a niece that competes in sports, well, respectfully, I don't want my niece competing against biological males. I don't feel like my niece should have to do that. She should be competing against her peers, which are other biologically born women. That's, who she should be competing against, competing with. That's who should be in the locker rooms, in the restrooms with her. It shouldn't be a biological male going into the restroom in the facility with my niece. I will never agree with that under any circumstances. I'm sorry. I just want to protect my niece. Now, how other people want to feel about it. Hey, look, you feel how you want to feel about it. You know what I mean? I don't have no issues with it, man. Because I don't, you know what I mean? I respect all people in my eyes. Respect everyone. Everyone deserves respect. However, there are certain things that I feel like we try to cloud the waters, and the waters don't need to be clouded. Ines and Royce, their statement is just simply being, well, we just want the women's sports to remain women's sports. And kind of the only way that you can make sure that you do that is you kind of got to identify what a woman is. And, it's funny to me because all the people that say that Ines isn't actually trying to protect women, they even tried to say he's harassing these women at their job. He went there to harass them at their job. Harassing these women, leave these women alone. The people who are saying that can't even define what a woman is. So how do you know he harassing a woman when you can't even define what a woman actually is? And that's what Ines Kanter and Royce been saying. They saying, well, for all this time, from the beginning of time that y'all got to telling us about the trans community and everything, the one thing that y'all supposedly all stood solid on in the trans community is identifying is what allows you to be that. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to wear the wig. You don't have to put on a dress. If you just feel like, and you can just claim, I identify because of how I feel. I just feel like it. So I identify as trans. Then we have to accept you as such. We're not allowed to ask you any questions. We're not allowed to have you prove anything. We're not allowed to bully you into taking hormones or anything like that. We're not allowed to do any of that because then it's transphobic. We hate you and we're spewing hate rhetoric. That's what we've been told all this time. But Now, all of a sudden, for some reason, when some people wanted to put that idea to the test, well, now all of a sudden we start to act like we can identify what a woman is. Because if you can't identify what a woman is, then how do you know that Ines Kanter isn't one? Because we can't define what one is. So how do we know that Ines Kanter is not a woman? Because we don't know, we can't define a woman. And then when he wore a t-shirt with, I believe, probably Webster's definition, like if you go into the dictionary and look up woman, he just had a t-shirt on that just said in the dictionary what it say a woman is. So he didn't come up with that. The dictionary people did. But somehow we don't have no outrage against Webster's or any of the other people that make dictionaries and put the words with the definition. We ain't got no outrage towards them. We just got outrage towards the dude that wore the shirt. Not only that, sidebar, there was women that was told to cover up their shirts, because I think that they're like XX and XY sports or something like that. But basically, they're women that's advocates for, again, the same thing, just having women in women's sports, keeping biological men who were, born biologically as a man, keeping them out of women's sports. And they made them cover up their shirts. They didn't want them having the shirts on for some odd reason. Like, for some odd reason, the definition of a woman is considered hate speech. What type of times are we living in? Then not only that, so the way the situation goes at any sporting event, part of the reason you pay for the money for the tickets, especially if you're paying for tickets courtside, you know what I'm saying? You paying all that money for the interaction with the players. You get closer to them, okay? So, again, we love to preach equality about everything, right? Okay? When Dylan Brooks goes into an arena, you don't think that he hear people saying all kind of crazy crap about him? They was criticizing him for trolling LeBron when he went to the game. He had already got out of the playoffs, and then he went, sat courtside, and he was there trolling LeBron. People ain't like when he was doing that. You don't have to like it. At the end of the day, he has a right to do that. Trolling is not illegal. You are allowed to troll. Like, that's a part of life. You're allowed to troll. Like, here in America, trolling is legal. You're allowed to troll. The only way that you conquer trolling is you either A, don't let it bother you. You just completely ignore it. And then eventually the person might stop trolling you and find somebody else to troll. Or B, you out troll them. You find a way to troll them and see if they could get triggered first. That's the only way to them the only two ways to beat trolling. But it seems like what a lot of individuals are doing, there's, again, in support of the other side, there's this rage. There's just rage. So before we even, address the situation with Natasha Cloud and Enes Kanter at that specific game, if it wasn't the game prior to, it was 2 games before that, there was a green object, I'll just say a green object that was thrown onto, the court or whatever. And then after the game, they asked Natasha Cloud about it or whatever, and she goes on this cussing slur-filled rant. Well, you lame as SHIT, and I think that's the GAYest thing ever, and you super GAY for doing that, and and what does it say on when you go with your financial advisor and it says this on your card? And why don't you get your skin color? Why does it have to be lime green or whatever? Well, first of all, if you are calling them GAY, okay, well, they allowed to buy whatever color they want to. Like, I'm not understanding. So are you criticizing all GAY people that use, colored toys or whatever that aren't their skin color? So does everybody, is all of them, should they all do that? Or is it just that one specific guy that you're talking about? Like, it's hard to make it out. And then you support that community, but then you use GAY as a slut, as basically a shot at the guy. Saying that he's, that's the GAYest thing you could do. Okay, well, if he is actually GAY, I don't understand. Now you're attacking him. Like if he's GAY, he's GAY. And then not only that, if he is GAY, ain't that a part of your community? So why are you not supporting him? Or instead of trying to slander him or mock him or anything like that, why you ain't trying to just call him in and be like, hey man, look, just as a community, because you're a part of our community and we all hold, because we all GAY. Hey, don't do that. That's a bad representation of us. So please don't do that. So I don't understand. Is he what y'all call cis? Or is he GAY like you called him? Which one is he? I don't understand. It's confusing. Because for me, whether you cis, whether you GAY, no matter what you are, there's no excuse for throwing an object like that onto the court. And that's whether it's females playing, whether it's men playing, whether it's kids playing, whether it's animals out there playing basketball. It's not acceptable in any capacity. No matter who you are and no matter who's out there playing, it's just not acceptable, period, to be throwing any type of objects from the stands onto the field or onto the court. That's just period. It has nothing to do with your gender or your race or how you were, what area you live in. It don't have nothing, or who you voted for. It don't have nothing to do with none of that. It's just proper etiquette. It's just common sense. You shouldn't be taking some type of object and then throwing it onto the field of play or onto the court of play to disrupt the game that's taking place, be it basketball, football, whatever it is. That's just period. That don't have nothing to do with all this other technical or politically correct. It don't have nothing to do with that. That's just proper etiquette, period. No matter who you are, no matter what side of the fence you sit on or any of that, that's just proper etiquette. But now, as we move to the situation, that's at hand with this, because all of that verbiage that she was using, the slurring, the cussing, you know what I'm saying? But this is the same league of people that claim that they're supposed to lead with love. But remember, the one lady, I believe it was the Minnesota Lynx coach, or might have been the Fever coach, one of them, talking about we going to lead with love, and then right after that told everybody they could go to hell. Well, how's leading with love? How's that? Telling somebody to go to hell, that ain't leading with love. And then you said them both right after each other. That's what was so crazy. And then not only that, if we want to be technical, heaven and hell is like a religious-based idea, like heaven and hell. Because last I checked, people who are atheists, they don't believe in heaven and hell. So if you telling people to go to hell, well, then you referring to something that, is a religion-based ideology. And if we using that religion-based ideology, then you'd probably be the last person that could tell somebody to go to hell. Like if we looking at, through that religious ideology, if we looking at the requirements for heaven and hell, based on what they say, I don't think you the person that could be telling somebody to go to hell. That's just my personal opinion. Because again, heaven and hell is that's a religious ideology. And so, if you detaching if the life you live is detached from that, then who are you to condemn someone to either place? That doesn't make any sense to me. But then, back to the Ines Kanter and Natasha Cloud thing, as a fan sitting courtside, Ines Kanter is allowed to cheer for whomever he'd like. So if Sophie Cunningham is the player he want to cheer for, he's allowed to cheer for her. And for some reason, the WNBA has not figured this out. Everything is me, 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 me. What about me? Look at me, look at me, look at me. You got to look at me. Look at how great I am. You got to like me. Why don't you like me? If you don't like me, then you shouldn't watch our games. And you're not allowed in our arenas. The NBA don't work like that. Do you realize that there's people that watch the NBA just to watch LeBron? Austin Rivers, when he was in the league, couldn't make people like him. Well, it's not just LeBron in the league. I'm in the league too. Why don't you like me? Like me. Who's LeBron? What makes LeBron so great? What about me? No, everybody that's fans of the NBA, we understand that you don't have to like a certain player. You don't have to be a fan of him. Again, we argue about who's the GOAT all the time. You don't have, listen, I'm going to argue all the time that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but I don't care if someone likes Michael Jordan or they don't. I don't care if someone likes LeBron more than they like Michael Jordan. I'm not about to, basically say, no, you have to like Michael Jordan. You don't have to. Man, you could think it's people that think Paul George is the best player ever. Now, I just think that they don't know what they're talking about, but I'm not about to try to force them. We can have a spirited debate, but once we had a debate, it's over with. I'm not about to try to force you. No, you have to say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. No, you don't, man. You're allowed to think what you want to think. It's free. It's a free world. So if some people want to think that Sophie Cunningham is a better player and they like her more than they like Natasha Cloud, guess what? They're allowed to. They're allowed to. Even if the stats and numbers and all this other stuff say something different, they still are allowed to, in their mind, think that Sophie Cunningham is a better basketball player than Natasha Cloud. At some point, you just have to learn to accept it, that everybody does not have to think the same way you do. It's not a requirement. People don't have to think what you're forcing them to think. That takes away, the freedoms that we have here in America that we love so much, the same freedoms that allow you to identify as whatever you want to identify as, take the hormones to transition and all that stuff. Okay, well, everybody gets to have those kinds of freedoms, not just you. The sooner you understand that, the better. You can't have all the freedoms you want, but then try to police other people's freedoms. That doesn't make any sense. So again, when you are a purchasing customer, you're allowed to come to the game and cheer for whoever it is that you want to cheer for. You don't have to cheer for everybody. You could just cheer for one player in specific. You could just buy one player's jersey. You don't have to buy the jersey of every player on the team. You don't have to. It's not a requirement. You don't have to do that. So when the WNBA and all of its advocates are saying, oh, we want to keep it about basketball. Let's keep it about basketball. Why can't we just keep it about basketball? What's so ironic about this situation is Ines Kanter was there for the entire game. Throughout 2.5 quarters of WNBA basketball, it wasn't a thing that Ines Kanter was there. All of the attention and focus was on the basketball game. Do you know the moment that the focus shifted off of the basketball game and onto Ines Kanter and the shirt that he was wearing? The moment that the attention shifted from the basketball game was when Natasha Cloud dribbled down, back down, made a spin move, hit a nice little layup, and then cut the Fever lead to 6 points. Now, normally what you do in that situation as a player, and then the other team called timeout, I just scored a bucket to cut it to 6. Oh, I turn to the crowd. I'm hot. Yeah. Or you start clapping to get loud. Yeah. You could even look over, like maybe somebody been heckling you from the stands. You could even look over and snarl at them. Yeah. How you like that? Yeah. And it's spirited. It's in the spirit of the game. But this was slightly different. This seemed much more personal because you make the bucket to cut the lead to 6, and it seemed like it clicked in your mind, oh, this is my moment. This is my viral moment right here. Let me turn and go aggressively. Just aggressively. Let me start walking, barking. I'm that MFing. Now, respectfully, just in the general world where we at, somebody walking up to you doing that's aggression. That looks like you're trying to incite violence. That's what that looks like. You walking up on somebody doing this and cussing, calling them names, and then people got to hold you back. That looks like you're trying to incite violence. That's what it looks like. And then Ines Kanter, because all of the stories that they tell, and he approached her. He went on the court. He didn't go on the court. That man took one step forward. He was still out of bounds. Okay. He knows the rules. Can't cross the baseline. Because again, we see Spike Lee, Jack Nicklaus, so many other people that get courtside seats and they be up standing on the court. They on the out of bounds line though, so they not on the court. So he's expressed it. He knows the rules. He knows where he can step and where he can't step. Okay, that man took one step forward. He was still within where he was supposed to be, and he just put his hands up like this. Like, well, what's the problem? Like, why you got a problem with me? Why you got an issue with me? What I do? I'm just here to cheer for the Fever and cheer for Sophie Cunningham, and I'm supporting protecting women. That's all I'm here for. What's the problem? Why you so mad at me? Why is you coming at me doing this? Like, what? And he didn't even do that part. He just stood there like this. That's it. But because he is a 6'9", maybe 6'10", 270-pound man, and he stands up, and then you see how big he is. Oh, well, just based on that alone, oh, now it's a bad optic. Oh, now he's the aggressor. No, he wasn't. And not only that, if he poses such this threat, then how did Natasha Cloud feel so comfortable aggressively walking towards him? Like, respectfully, if I see something that I feel like could do me some harm, I'm not finna aggressively walk toward. Like, if I see a lion over there, I see a wild lion just over there, I'm not about to walk up aggressively to the lion like, yeah, Emma, effer, I'm that, because I'm gonna be scared that it's about to eat me. I see a lion over there, I'm finna politely turn around and walk away. I see that threat that look like it could do something to me, I'm finna politely turn around and walk away. Now, if I see something that I don't perceive as a threat, just like another man, because he bleed like I do, and I don't necessarily perceive you as no threat, well, then I'll walk towards you aggressively. I sure will, because I don't perceive you as no threat. So if Kanter is a threat, then how come she felt so comfortable walking towards him aggressively like she was about to knock him out? That doesn't make any sense to me. Clearly, she didn't seem to feel threatened, because if so, how did you walk towards the threat instead of walking away from it? That doesn't make any sense to me. One of the reasons I think you felt so comfortable walking towards it because you knew that if anything, it was going to get separated and then he was going to be the bad guy. No matter what. You could have walked up on him and slapped him. And just him standing there doing this, there are still ways that people are going to perceive him to be the bad guy, because they're going to say, oh, well, he enticed her. He provoked her to do this. What? What provoked her? The shirt that he was wearing? So a shirt hurts your feelings so bad that you got to aggressively go attack people? Him cheering for the player that he likes when they make a basket, that ticked you off so bad to the point where you had to aggressively approach him? Well, if that's the case, I'm not so sure that professional sports is something that you should be, a part of. Because in professional sports, this is going to happen every single game that you play. Sophie Cunningham gave a great response when, she was asked about the boos that she was getting in Toronto. She was like, I mean, that's how it goes. Like, fans are going to boo, they're going to cheer. She was like, if anything, like, I think that their fans are awesome for being engaged like that, and being so supportive, of their team. Great response. See the response between the two? Sophie getting booed out of the building. Watch this. They even tried to troll Sophie the same way Ines Kanter was trolling. This wasn't the story. They tried to troll Sophie. That game, Toronto debuted a non-binary mascot. What is that? Listen, coming from a person who's been going to sports games pretty much all my life, I've never looked at a mascot and then wondered what the gender of the mascot was. A mascot's gender has never crossed my mind. It's a mascot. I don't ever look at a mascot and be like, wow, I wonder if that's a male mascot or a female mascot or non-binary. I've never looked at a mascot. It's a mascot. I'm not looking at it to see what gender is it. It's a mascot. And a lot of times the mascots be animals. The last I checked, animals don't, animals just stick with the gender that they is, and they trying to reproduce. They're animals. They don't do all this over thing. I've never heard an animal announce themselves to be non-binary. I've never heard a snapping turtle announce himself to be non-binary. So you debuted a non-binary mascot to troll Sophie Cunningham. Did she walk towards the mascot like, you get out of here, you non-binary, you're messing this up. I'm that bitch, you get your non-binary butt out of here. Did she do that? No. She took it all in the fun of the game. She understood, oh yeah, you trolling me. Cool. I accept it. Way to be so supportive of your team and your point of view. It's free expression. You're allowed to. So we could debut a non-binary mascot, but you can't wear a t-shirt that has a dictionary definition of what a woman is on it. Because that, by God, that's too offensive. But I thought we was inclusive for everything and for everybody. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me, man. And respectfully, again, if you want everything to be strictly about basketball, then what was the point in debuting a non-binary mascot? You don't think that that's going to take attention away from the basketball that the ladies are playing on the court? Thought it was all about basketball. So why are we trying to draw attention to the mascot? Thought it was all about basketball. And then, not trying to be funny, not only that, y'all went out y'all way to this is a non-binary mascot. And if that's the case, why that mascot wasn't there to start the season? Why that mascot wasn't there at the beginning of the season? Why day one was that mascot not debuted the first game? I don't understand it. Because y'all want it to be all about basketball, right? Just why can't we talk about basketball? Okay, well then why are we debuting mascots that we know is going to stir stuff up? The same way that some people trying to say, well, why would Ines Kanter wear that shirt? He knew that it was going to spark up a debate and start drama, and some certain people don't like it. It's freedom of America. If I don't like people talking while they chewing, does that mean that they got to stop doing it? If people talking while they chewing makes me feel uncomfortable, does that mean that they have to stop doing it? No, it doesn't, because they got the freedom to do that. This is absolutely ridiculous. I would love to get this thing, figured out, but respectfully, I don't think it ever will be, man. I don't think it ever will be. And truth be told, this coming from somebody who I just want to watch the WNBA just to watch the basketball. Ain't no NBA going on right now. So I get a chance to watch some basketball, man. The same way that when the NFL ain't going on, I'm watching the UFL. And then when the UFL ain't going on, I'm watching the CFL. I get a chance to watch football. So I want to watch it. So this is killing me, because it's like, man, I can't even watch basketball and enjoy the game because they may be too busy trying to debut a non-binary mascot and draw my attention to that. Or when somebody cut the lead to 6, instead of just staying focused on the game and hyping up the crowd and all that stuff, they might turn to somebody with something on their shirt that they don't like and then aggressively try to attack them. And then last but not least, what's so crazy is she made the layup, brought the game to within 6, and then after she did that, they ended up losing by 20-some points. Maybe you should have kept it about basketball, and then your team probably could have stood a better chance of winning the actual basketball game as opposed to winning the political war between you and Ines Kanter. I don't got a dog in the race. I'm just keeping it real from what I see. Dogs on the couch, signing off.